Number 7. Buick GSX Stage 1 455. Nobody at General Motors expected a Buick to start this conversation. Buick built comfortable cars for people who had arrived at a certain station in life: quiet, plush, sedate. Then, the engineers bolted a 455 cubic inch engine into the Grand Sport, added a Stage 1 performance package that extracted 510 pound-feet of torque from a block that displaced more cubic inches than any other American production engine that year, painted the result Saturn yellow, and handed it to Motor Trend for their January 1970 test. Motor Trend ran it in 13.38 seconds at 105.5 miles per hour and declared it the fastest American production car they had ever tested. In a year stacked with Hemi Cudas, LS6 Chevelles, and Boss Mustangs, a Buick posted the number. The paradox of the Stage 1 is the same reason it sits at number 7 despite that quarter-mile record. The short gearing that made it unstoppable to 100 miles per hour worked against it beyond that point. The Stage 1's torque curve was built for the stoplight, and the top speed of 132 to 135 miles per hour reflects a car never designed for sustained speed. It was designed to humiliate everything in the next lane from zero to the end of the block. In that task, in 1970, almost nothing could beat it off the line. Number 6. Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 in LS6 specification carried the highest factory horsepower rating of any American production car in 1970, 450 horsepower officially, though every mechanic who worked on one understood the number was conservative. The LS6 used solid lifters, an aluminum intake manifold, and a 4-barrel Holley carburetor on a 454 cubic inch block that Chevrolet had installed in the Chevelle when GM lifted its internal ban on engines larger than 400 cubic inches in mid-size cars. The engineers had been waiting for that moment. When it arrived, they built what they had always wanted to build. Hot Rod magazine rung the LS6 Chevelle at Irwindale Raceway in May 1970 and recorded 13.44 seconds at 108.7 miles per hour through the quarter-mile traps, the highest trap speed any muscle car posted in that publication's 1970 testing cycle. On the highway, where the Chevelle's blunt intermediate body created aerodynamic drag that the Mopar's more streamlined designs resisted, the LS6 reached 140 to 142 miles per hour. The Chevelle is at number 6 because the 450 horsepower made it the most powerful American production engine of the era, and because the car built around it earned every one of those horsepower on every test strip it ran. Number 5. Ford Torino Cobra 429 Super Cobra Jet. Most Americans in 1970 were watching Hemi Mopars and LS6 Chevelles. Almost nobody was watching what Ford was building in Michigan. The 1970 Torino Cobra arrived with a sports roof fastback body, a blacked-out hood, and a 429 cubic inch engine that existed in configurations most buyers never knew were available. The Super Cobra Jet, ordered through the drag pack option, added 4-bolt main bearing caps, forged aluminum pistons, stronger connecting rods, and a solid lifter camshaft. On paper, it carried the same rating as the standard Cobra Jet. On the track, it told a different story entirely. Superstock and Drag Illustrated tested the 429 SCJ in March 1970 and recorded 13.63 seconds at 105.95 miles per hour. With the drag pack, the car belonged in the same class as the Hemi Mopars, and almost nobody knew it. Ford built 7,675 Torino Cobras that year. Fewer than 1,500 received the drag pack. The top speed of 143 to 145 miles per hour puts the SCJ ahead of the LS6 Chevelle and within reach of the Mopars above it. The Torino is at number 5 because the fastest Ford of 1970 was hiding in plain sight, priced below the competition, and matched against it in everything that counted.
Number 4. Plymouth Roadrunner 426 Hemi. Plymouth built the Roadrunner on a specific premise: remove everything between the engine and the road. No luxury, no theater, no chrome that added weight without adding speed. The buyer who ordered a Roadrunner in 1970 with the 426 Hemi was making a statement of intent. The Hemi cost $871.45 above the standard engine, a number Chrysler's accountants had calculated to recover the investment in a race engine being sold on public streets. What the buyer received for that money was 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque in a car whose vinyl bench seat and rubber floor mats confirmed that the transaction was about speed and nothing else. Superstock and Drag Illustrated recorded the Roadrunner 426 Hemi at 13.54 seconds at 105 miles per hour in their December 1969 road test. Carcraft and Hemmings documentation confirmed the range across multiple differential configurations. The top speed of 145 to 146 miles per hour places it one tier below the Challenger it was mechanically related to. Same engine, slightly different weight, the same documented velocity in the period testing that matters. Number 3. Dodge Challenger RT 426 Hemi. The 1970 Dodge Challenger arrived as the most visually complete expression of what the American muscle car was supposed to look like: wide, low, and menacing in the way that the Dodge design team had been working towards since the Charger. When the 426 Hemi was ordered in the Challenger RT, the result was a car that car and driver placed at an estimated 146 miles per hour top speed, with a 5.8-second 0 to 60 and quarter-mile times that ranged from 13.2 to 14.1 seconds, depending on which differential ratio the buyer had specified. The shorter ratios produced faster quarter-mile times. The longer ratios produced higher top speeds. Every buyer chose what they needed. The Challenger's position at number 3, one documented mile per hour below the Hemi Cuda that shares its platform, reflects the E-body's slightly greater curb weight. The Challenger rode a wheelbase 2 inches longer than the Barracuda and carried corresponding additional mass. The 426 Hemi delivered identical output in both cars. At velocities where aerodynamic drag becomes the deciding variable, the mass difference showed. The Challenger RT 426 Hemi is at number 3 because the most beautiful Mopar of 1970 was also one of the 3 fastest street production cars built in the United States that year. Number 2. Plymouth Superbird 426 Hemi. The Plymouth Superbird exists because NASCAR required manufacturers to sell street-legal versions of their race configurations before the cars could compete professionally. Plymouth needed the Superbird on public roads to put it on the track. An 18-inch nose extension and a 23-inch rear wing, both wind tunnel engineered, gave the street car aerodynamic credentials no other American production vehicles shared. Road and Track and Hot Rod documented its street performance. The 426 Hemi in Superbird configuration reached 148 to 150 miles per hour, placing it within 1 mile per hour of the car at number 1. Only 1,935 Superbirds were built for 1970. Of those, just 93 received the 426 Hemi. The rest carried the 440. The Hemi Superbird is among the rarest and most capable production cars of the decade, and its aerodynamic advantage over every other B-body Mopar is what separates it from the Roadrunner at number 4. Same engine, same platform, and a nose and wing that gave the Hemi 148 to 150 miles per hour of room to work in instead of fighting the air. The Superbird is at number 2 because Plymouth built a factory race car, sold it on the street to satisfy the rules, and created in the process one of the fastest production vehicles in American automotive history.
Number 1. Plymouth Hemi Cuda 426 Hemi. The 426 Hemi was not designed for American streets. It was designed for NASCAR oval tracks, for sustained full-throttle operation at speeds that required an engine capable of lasting indefinitely at those loads. When Chrysler installed it in the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda and sold the combination at the Plymouth dealer for $871.45 above the base price, they were putting a racing engine in a pony car body and letting the street figure out what to do with it. Carcraft, Hot Rod, Motor Trend, and Road and Track all tested it and reached the same conclusion: 149 to 150 miles per hour, the highest documented top speed of any standard body American production car that year. Only 652 Hemi Cudas were built for 1970, 284 with the 4-speed manual, the rest with the TorqueFlite automatic.
The car that CarCraft, Motor Trend, Hot Rod, and Road and Track agreed was the fastest pony car ever sold from an American factory was also one of the rarest vehicles built that year. The Hemi Cuda is at number 1 because the race engine Chrysler put in a street car produced the highest documented top speed of any American production muscle car in 1970, confirmed before the emissions regulations, the insurance industry, and the oil crisis arrived to make the conversation academic.